Hi everybody, happy Sunday. We just spent a month living in the town of Chania on the island of Crete in Greece, and we're going to tell you all about it. Stay tuned. We're Chris and Steve, an early retired couple who sold everything to travel the world full time. We share our nomad life, hikes, and vegan eats. Grab our book, 2 Carry-ons and a Plan on Amazon, and follow us on social. Subscribe to catch our video every Sunday. Where are we?
Well, shooting this video, we're still in Crete, but today we're actually on a cruise, and we're doing a little pre-recording for you. But I'm really excited to tell you all about our adventures for the last month in Crete. It's been a great time.
I think first we have to tell you how to pronounce the city. So it's spelled Chania, so a lot of people know it as Chania or Chania. It's Chania. Chania, the C is silent. So we're in Chania, which is just on the west side of the island of Crete, and we spent here a whole 30 days. So we're going to tell you summarize in 6 things, all the things we did while living in Crete. So the first is we made a ton of friends. The second is we're going to tell you all the things we did. We're going to talk about the food. We're going to talk about the transportation, the entertainment, and the cost of living. Now, we're not going to break it down dollar by dollar about the cost of living. We're just going to give you a general, was it expensive, was it not expensive, and how was the vibe? So let's get right into it. The theme of our month, I think, was friends and gorgeous. What do you think?
Yes, yeah, gorgeous, and we made a lot of friends.
Yeah. So the very first day, before we even got here, I'd actually reached out on some Facebook groups, for local Facebook groups for Chania, and met a lady named Ingela, who was a Swede, who she and her husband have moved here about a year ago. And she just wanted to meet us and take us on a personal walking tour of the town. It was unbelievable. Yeah. So she and her husband, we met up with them, with Thomas, and off we went walking through all the nooks and crannies of downtown Chania, met some of the local vendors, and just had a fabulous time, had lunch with them at a local place. And she really just set a beautiful tone for our enjoyment of enjoying Crete.
Yeah, it was our first day, and it was really a great way to learn about the town and really to be impressed. I mean, I was impressed right from the beginning about how large the pedestrian downtown or old town area is, and the history.
And the Venetian lighthouses and the port and so on.
Just beautiful.
Yeah. So fortunately, a couple days later, some friends that we met on the Go With Less Facebook page, Ramesh and Uma, came through, and we were able to share that information with them a couple days later. So paying it forward a little bit is how we felt.
Yeah. So tell us, how did we even find our Airbnb here in Crete?
Right. So back to the friendship theme. So we did what we always do when we go looking for a place to live for about a month. We check Airbnb because we like that we can get a discount after 28 days on an Airbnb stay. We checked booking.com to see if there was equivalent or something interesting there. And then we also put a note out into Facebook to ask any of our friends if they had stayed in Chania. 2 of them, Deanna and Kirsten, had both stayed in the same place, and they highly recommended it. They gave us the personal number and name of the guy that owned the place. We reached out to him on WhatsApp, told him we were going to be there, and ended up, because he wanted us to pay him in cash, we ended up saving almost $1,000 on our Airbnb sit. So we ended up paying a little less than $50 a night for our place that we stayed, that even though it was originally listed on Airbnb, we got it off Airbnb through the owner, and ended up with a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, gorgeous place, which you'll see pictures, and it's also our background, which was about a mile from downtown. So the location wasn't so great, but it was a 10-minute walk to the beach, a 20-minute walk to downtown. The bus stop was right across the street. We got bus passes for $1.10 or Euro 10. Yeah, rather than pay $2.
The bus is a little bit challenging to figure out how they work, but once you do figure it out, the buses are easy to take. They run fairly frequently. And while we're on the subject of transportation, I can tell you there is no Uber here, and we'd like to know how much it's going to cost to get from place to place. So instead of Uber, there are the traditional taxis that don't necessarily have meters. So just a little tip is before you get in the taxi, tell the driver where you're going and ask him how much it's going to be. And in this case, we actually got very reasonable rates. We didn't have any problem with the taxis, and we thought that they were pretty reasonable, pretty easy to get around.
We did pay 3 different prices for the same trip, though.
We did.
So that was a little interesting. Okay. So one of the things that we really enjoyed doing was every Saturday there's a fresh market. So we would go to the fresh market, and we had been to fresh markets all over Europe. So we were kind of, it wasn't shocking to see all the fresh fruits and the fresh chicken and the fresh whatever everywhere. But one particular Saturday I said to Steve, all right, we're going to go to the fresh market and we're each going to get one thing that we've never purchased anywhere else in a fresh market. So for me, I went and got a quince fruit, which I'd never seen before. It looks kind of like a giant pear. It's something that you can eat raw. It's a little bit bitter if you eat it raw, but most people make jellies out of it. And what did you get? You got olives. Remember?
I did get olives, but also I did get that for a persimmon.
Persimmon, that's right.
Yeah, and persimmons, and they grow here. That you just see them on the trees, growing here.
Pomegranates, yeah,
and
pomegranates
pomegranates are all over the place, and the citrus is really popular here too. But being the olive vendor was really cool, and just being able to sample the different olives and say which one you want, and buying olives in bulk. This is olive universe here.
Yeah. Ground zero for olives. So speaking of olives, olives and olive trees, one of the things that we did shortly after we got here is we went hiking in the Samaria Gorge. I'm going to post a link up here for the Samaria Gorge. And it was the reason why we mentioned the olives is you go through olive trees and things to get there. But one of probably the most challenging hikes I've been on in a really long time. We're not going to go through details here because you can watch the video, but really enjoyed that. But that was kind of a theme of hiking gorges, because what happened after we went to the Samaria Gorge? We met up with that group.
Yeah, so we met up with the Happy Wanderers of Crete, which is a local hiking group. And we got to meet up with them for one of their Sunday hikes, which is in another gorge. And this one was just as interesting, certainly not as challenging or as long as the Samarian Gorge. But it allowed us to meet up with some new friends. And also after the gorge, we went to a local Taverna and had a fabulous meal.
Oh.
So Sunday afternoon is the time when everybody here goes out to eat. And the food was just
the
amazing.
spread of food. You asked, it just went on and on and on and on. We had, part of the appetizers was a Greek salad, and then stuffed mushrooms and stuffed eggplants, and I don't know, there was some lamb and celery dish or something. But the ability to eat vegan in Greece was very easy. Vegetarian was really easy. Vegan was easy. And we just ate all month long delicious food. Some of the things were
the moussaka, the spanakopita,
the baklava.
Delicious.
Then you tried some of the Greek coffee and the raki. Raki is after
raki
dinner.
with every meal you get your
little shot.
Your raki, which is in other parts of Greece, ouzo is the thing.
Right.
Here it's raki,
right,
which is just as delicious.
So really, we ate out many times. The food was pretty reasonable actually to eat out, and actually we'll tell you about one of the best meals we had in Europe in just a minute. Anyway, from the Happy Wanderers, we hiked once with them, and you hiked with them again without me. You got to have your boy time all by yourself. And while you did your boy time, I did my girl time. I went to the local hammam, and Ingela and I really enjoyed a day at the spa. We got facials and massages, and we got our hair shampooed, and the price wasn't that fantastic. It was probably cheaper than some other European spas, but the price wasn't great. It was more about the experience of being in a traditional hammam, which is a Muslim bathhouse, which was really enjoyable. Really enjoyed that. Okay, next up, our family came to visit, so we were lucky to have our daughter and her friend come over from Dublin. They spent the week here, and what did we do that whole week?
It was about going to the beach and going shopping. And again, I mentioned how really nice we'll call it the touristy area, but it's really the downtown pedestrian old city area, which is just street after street of shops and restaurants and cool things to see and do. And our daughter had a good time there.
And if you want Greek linen, certainly this is the place to get your Greek linen. Although the Saturday market, you can get Italian linen for cheaper, but the Greek linen is available in the shops. So from there, Halloween was upon us, and Ingela and Tomas invited us to a Halloween party. So we got all dressed up in Halloween gear and went out and enjoyed Halloween with them. Halloween's not a big celebration here in Greece, But the local digital Nomad group was having a Halloween party, so we joined them for that. And then we met up with more full-time travelers. Lisa and Sam, had a great time with them. We ended up going to the Botanic Gardens. We hopped on the local bus, went to the Botanic Gardens, was totally shocked about the Botanic Gardens. What did you
It's
like
beautiful.
about that?
So you take a ride up into the mountains. So, we're staying out on the beach. But once you go up into the mountains, you've got a completely different climate, if you will. And the botanical gardens were just filled with fruit trees and different varieties of nuts and flowers.
Herbs
And
and-
they just did a really great job with it. I think it's one of the best botanical gardens that I've ever been to. And what was really fantastic was afterwards, walking through the gardens, and you come back into the restaurant, and the dishes that they serve in the restaurant are food that's from the garden. So,
Right,
we'll talk about farm to garden, farm to plate. It was just amazing to actually experience some things that I've never tasted before that were just part of the recipes from
the garden,
restaurant.
yeah, and it was for me my best meal in Europe. I had some stuffed eggplant or stuffed vegetables, it was squash and zucchini and eggplant, and then I actually had cheesecake for dessert with a local Greek. Actually, it was goat milk for the cheesecake part of it, and it had star fruit and guava and pomegranate. It was absolutely just one of the best desserts I'd also had in Europe. So, anyway, from the Botanic Gardens. Because we were in such a great Airbnb and we made so many great friends, we decided to have a Mexican fiesta. And if you saw our video last week, you saw the donkey piñata that we had. But we invited over Ingela and Thomas, our Swedish friends, Ralph and Sue, our new hiking friends, Lisa and Sam, our new Nomad friends. So the 8 of us had a fabulous Mexican restaurant or Mexican dinner. We were able to source almost all of the ingredients that we needed. So we got corn tortillas, flour tortillas, tequila mix. We couldn't find any Mexican cheese, so we substituted Greek cheese for that, and we ended up having green enchiladas verdes and make your own street tacos. So a beautiful night with wonderful friends, really celebrating friendship in our Greek home. So finally, the last couple things we did then before we talk about all the cost and the vibe of the place is with Sam and Lisa, they had gotten a car, so we joined them in Herculea and enjoyed the archaeology museum, and then went to a place that our Greek friends had recommended, Phaistos, which is a Minoan ruins location and archaeology that is 3,000 years old, about.
Way older.
Yeah, way older than that.
4,000 or 5,000 years
Yeah,
old.
so we got to walk through the ruins. It was really cool to be able to compare that with Herculean in Italy and Machu Picchu in Peru. Really fascinating to see how the stonecutters of their time were able to build their cities. Then from there, we went to a really cool place that the Greeks said don't go, but our American friends said do go. We went to Matala, which was on the beach, and this place, although originally it was where the Romans had buried their dead in caves in the Matala, it is where the hippies from the 1960s escaped from Canada, the US, and Germany to Matala, and they hung out evading the Vietnam War, living in the caves and having their hippie love, peace, and rock and roll life. Joni Mitchell famously had gone there. She wrote a song, Carrie, about being there. And what do you think of Matala?
Yeah, it was just a way to get our hippie vibe on, and it was really nice is that we were worrying that it was going to be this incredibly touristy place, and you don't want to go there, but there really are, the tourists are gone, so we really had the place to ourselves, and we were able to explore the caves and the beach, and had another fabulous meal, and really just totally kind of got our groove on and pretended that we were 1960s. Hippies, hanging out in the caves,
Steve was in his element, I think. And then the last thing we did to really emphasize that the tourists were gone, we took the bus to Kisamos, another little beach town that I think a lot of the Greeks go to, and they have a promenade or a Malecon or a beach boardwalk. Not a soul. Nobody was around. The only thing flying was a Greek flag. I mean, it was just really vacant. There was a restaurant open there. We went in and had some breakfast. We had the best Greek omelet you've ever had, right?
Fabulous omelet with feta cheese and tomatoes. It was really delicious.
Yeah. And that kind of summarizes all the things we did with our base out of Chania on the island of Crete in Europe, which is the most southern place in Europe. Actually, so tell me, what do you think about the vibe and the cost of Crete?
Yeah, so the vibe is, we were definitely here at the end of the tourist season. So it is, in the middle of November, and things are definitely shutting down. Every day that we were here, there was like one more thing that was closed that was open the day before. So I think it was a good time for us because there weren't a lot of tourists, but we could still really have a great adventure, and the weather was really fantastic. So we go for 72 degrees or about 22 degrees Celsius.
Watch our video here on how we find 72 degrees.
And we have had pretty much every day sunny skies right at that, 71, 72,
right
73 degrees, right in the sweet spot. So the weather has been fantastic. A little bit about, affordability. So I think that this is a very affordable place to stay. Our accommodations were nice. We had a large place. So it was, fairly modern and easy to get into town. Transportation seemed really reasonable and easy to move around. I think the food was a little bit on the expensive side, and I'll say that because we are on an island, and I think it just costs a little bit more to get certain things here, and there's a little bit of a premium for things like food and gasoline and things like that you pay because we're on an island in the middle of the Mediterranean.
But compared to the rest of Western Europe, where do you think Crete kind of fell into, compared to Spain or Portugal or Italy?
Yeah, I think I think it's about right in the middle. I think it's a very affordable place to be, and nothing really, about the prices really.
Nothing was particularly high.
High or low. Nothing really kind of stood out to me as being unusual.
And just speaking of budget, if you want to know how much money we spend each month in our budget, here's our video from what we spent last year and how we broke that down annually, or how we broke that down monthly, and what our monthly spend is. So you can take a look at that video there. Okay, next up, we're going to tell you about, our next video, which we're also going to pre-record because we'll be cruising, is all the top 5 places we would live in Europe if we chose to live in Europe. That's coming up next week.
Summarize, what would you come back here to live in Crete?
We're going to tell you next week. Does it make our top 5? The top 5 places that we would live in Europe. Watch next week. Thanks so much for hanging in there. Give us a like. Make sure you subscribe. And if you've been to Crete, or if you're thinking about going to Crete, tell us what you loved or what you're thinking about. Talk to you then.